Major moves. We going all in. Like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.
What is up, everybody? I am Mr. Man. Thank you guys for joining me again on another adventure, taking deep dives down these rabbit holes. And man, when we go down, we go down, we go deep. Today we're going to look at synthetic CBDCs. Alright, a lot of people talk about CBDCs, but I have no idea what a CBDC actually is. They think that they're going to be issued a CBDC from the central banks. You're not touching a CBDC ever. Alright, you're not touching a wholesale CBDC, you're not touching a retail CBDC. A synthetic CBDC you will be touching though. So let's learn a bit about what these synthetic CBDCs are, okay? A breakdown of the different CBDC models. Okay, synthetic CBDC really isn't a CBDC at all. Rather, synthetic CBDC describes a stable coin. Remember, I've been telling you guys XRP, XLM are stable coins. That may include HBAR, Algo, and a few others. I'm not 100% sure about them. But what I can talk to is XRP and XLM and tell you that they are a stable coin. Not just a regular stable coin backed by fiat reserves, but these are global stable coins backed by a basket of reserves. A basket of reserves being central bank reserves, okay? So, a synthetic CBDC describes a stablecoin with the reserves backing its value held in central bank master accounts. Let's break down what this description means in more detail. First, a stablecoin is a cryptocurrency with its value pegged to government currencies. Government currency, which is fiat. Extremely fiat, right? In government we trust money. That's the paper money we all use today. Short-term securities or commodities in an effort to stabilize its value. To achieve this peg, stablecoin issuers commonly hold reserves on a one-for-one basis. The safety and soundness of those reserves can depend on where they're being held. For instance, traditional banks typically hold their reserves at the Federal Reserve in what is known as a master account. However, access to master accounts is generally limited to federally regulated banks. By opening this access to a stablecoin issuer, a regular stablecoin issuer, a synthetic CBDC would be like, However, access to master accounts is generally limited to federally regulated banks. By opening this access to a stablecoin issuer, a synthetic CBDC would be like the dollar-denominated stablecoin that already exists, but the dollars that back it would be held in a master account earning interest at the Federal Reserve. So, the money backing this sCBDC would be interest bearing. That is new to me. So, that's from a university, okay? This is a university study here, the Cato University. Here, now we're with CSIS, all right? Center for Strategic and International Studies. Learning a bit more about it. Synthetic. So, they're talking about the different types of CBDCs as well, wholesale and retail, and now we're going to go into synthetic again. The third option, a synthetic CBDC, is not really a CBDC at all because the central bank would not be issuing the digital currency. A synthetic CBDC is a stable coin with a twist. The issuing financial institution would back its stablecoin with reserves at the Fed. Notice how they said the Fed specifically. In the previous Cato University, they said the master accounts. Put those two together, we have the Fed master accounts. And they are coming open when? This summer. In effect, this would be the digital currency version of the currency board regime used by central banks wanting to maintain a fixed exchange rate with currency nearly or fully backed by foreign exchange, such as in Hong Kong. If a synthetic CBDC or sCBDC were 100% backed by reserves at the Fed, it would be a form of so-called narrow banking. I started to look that word up. I keep hearing it, and I keep telling myself I can look up narrow banking. What the hell is a narrow banking? What is narrow banking? In contrast with fractional reserve banking, which is why some proponents call this narrow stablecoin, remember that word, narrow stablecoin, a synthetic CBDC, or a system permitting the issuance of multiple fully backed dollar stablecoins, would be as safe as a CBDC while offering more private sector competition and innovation. So there's the retail stablecoin and then the wholesale stablecoin, which they are calling narrow banking, or a wholesale or narrow stablecoin, or a synthetic CBDC, or global stablecoin. They are all the same thing. What model should the United States choose? So we talk about the states now. The United States need not choose a single model for a digital dollar. As such, it might make more sense to think of digital dollars in the plural. Of the models described above, an intermediate CBDC and a synthetic CBDC. So it's going to be the same for most other places where you have the, I guess most places are going to have the same structure like that. The wholesale CBDC, which is central bank wholesale money moving behind the scenes. And then you have the central bank stablecoin moving as well. More generally, a US CBDC and dollar stablecoin could coexist. It's going to coexist. I'm going to further my point. Here's the BIS. Alright? Let me just show you guys here. BIS, Central Bank Digital Currencies, Foundational Principles and Core. This is from the BIS. It is musty today in this mesask. Oh, my face isn't sideways. Nope, here we go. Synthetic CBDC is not a CBDC. Why do we keep seeing that? All right, why do we keep seeing it's not a CBDC? It's not a potential alternative framework under which central banks could... Let me get rid of that. How do I close that? I have no idea. Whatever. Okay. Could engage with the rise of digital currencies would be for private sector payment services provided to issue liabilities matched by funds held at the central bank. Such an approach has been suggested by some stablecoin proposals and described in some papers as a synthetic CBDC or sCBDC. Guys, don't forget this word, sCBDC. It's not a central bank digital currency, okay? It's not. It is not a central bank digital currency. It's not. That's what it says there. It's not a CBDC. It's a stablecoin. It's a wholesale stablecoin. This isn't me spitballing here. This is what they're telling you. This is what we're showing. We're just taking the breadcrumbs and following where they're telling us. I don't care who argues with me and says, oh, show me the documents that XRP and XLM and other coins are stable coins and blah, blah, blah. I go where the regulators lead, all right? These guys are the ones who are going to be instilling the framework and the box that people will be operating within. I'm going where they tell me to go, where they're showing me to go, all right? We're going to win this shit. We have no option but to win. The only place from here to go is up. That's it. In addition to not being a CBDC by definition, these liabilities would also lack some key features of central bank money as described in section 213. Commercial payment service providers benefit from strong network effects, potentially leading to concentration and monopolies of fragmentation. Central banks have public policy rather than private objectives. This enables neutrality in providing services to users, allowing for an open and inclusive system. Another difference between CBDC and narrow banking, see that they keep interchanging the words, they're the same thing. Narrow banking, wholesale stablecoin, synthetic CBDC, global stablecoin, is liquidity. Central banks can expand their balance sheet and create additional liabilities at short notice in response to underlying demand. By design, a payment service provider, PSP, as described above, cannot do this. Every liability must be matched by funds held at the central bank. So now that we know who we're following here, we're following the Fed. All right, that's where these reserves are going to be held. They're going to be held at the Fed. There will be some issue with the strength of the U.S. dollar, but the U.S. dollar is not going anywhere. Don't let these, the de-dollarization fool you. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's gonna lose its strength, but it's not gonna lose its reserve currency yet. There's still a long time for that still. 15, 20 years kind of thing. My projection. I could be wrong. I just made that number up as I'm talking, but that projection could be 10, 15, 20 years from now. There might be a useful role for privately issued liabilities matched with central bank money in a jurisdiction's payment system. However, the system information and decision-making process for a central bank to enable such an arrangement is very different from a consideration of using a CBDC. Okay. So, we heard what BRS had to say. What does the WEF have to say? All right, these are the people that are leading this, right? These are the people that are leading this. All these people are leading this. We're just, wherever you go, I'll follow. Not saying that's a good thing, but this is under key questions to be answered for the WEF. How do major jurisdictions, international organizations, and regional organizations differ in defining a synthetic CBDC and stablecoin? So there is differences in the definition of what this sCBDC is, which we can't have. Is there a way to unify the definition and the taxonomy of this so it operates the same no matter where it is? Again, we were talking about bilateral agreements in the previous video. This is where the bilateral agreements come in. If I see it as this, you see it as that. If you see it as that, the next person sees it as that. We all see it as the same thing. So no matter what happens here, will happen there. They will happen the exact same way, no matter where it goes. What are the key policy and regulatory incompatibilities and gaps related to synthetic CBDCs and stablecoins across major economies? What are the risks and the extraterritorial impacts of those incompatibilities and gaps? Could they lead to regulatory arbitrage or vulnerabilities in crypto security, in cyber security, or operational resilience? Yeah, good question. Good question. It's musty. Is it just me? Are you guys feeling all that too? We had a dumping of rain here earlier. Could be because of that. So moving on, we're going to what page are we on here? 64. We are at the BOE now, okay? Bank of England. All right, we're not just pulling out little piddly things here. We're using these heavy hitters here, okay, to come to our conclusion, to come to our thesis. And I'm getting to the end of this here. There's 2 more pages after this. So we are talking about synthetic CBDCs here, reserve-backed stablecoins. They're calling them reserve-backed stablecoins. Would be economically similar to the digital pound, but are not a CBDC. A non-bank stablecoin could have backing assets held entirely with the central bank. We were just talking about this, were we not? Well, this would be economically similar to the digital pound. Such a stablecoin would be a liability of the private sector issuer rather than a claim on the central bank. Who would be the private sector issuer? Right? Think about that one for a minute. Who would be the private sector issuer? Not the bank. It wouldn't be the bank. That's what it says here. So, such an approach has been described by some as a synthetic CBDC, but gives the user's claim is not in the central bank. This is not considered a CBDC and is therefore not under consideration as part of our model of provision. So they're not the ones who govern that, right? Think about it. Who governs the bank? Who will be governing these banks in their rule book? Ripple would be governing these banks in their rule book for RippleNet. Let's just here we go. Okay. I showed you guys this yesterday. All about Project Hamilton, central bank digital currencies, CBDC research. Watch. Up. Here we go. Retail CBDC, what's happening around the globe? This is from the retail perspective now. You have wholesale CBDC, retail CBDC, wholesale synthetic CBDC, retail synthetic CBDC, XRP, wholesale synthetic CBDC, XLM, sCBDC. Proof right here, okay? Stellar, look right here. Ukraine limited pilot test of synthetic CBDC in 2018. Based on the Stellar protocol. We've been through this so many times, you guys. You guys know this. I know you know this. Where we had walked together in regards to the whole Ukraine structure right now for the refugees, using Tascom Bank and NBU, National Bank of Ukraine, with Bit Inc. and Stellar as the rails, and USDC being issued to these Ukrainian people. Who is the synthetic CBDC? Who offers that liquidity? Right? Remember we were talking about the liquidity? Who offers that here? Stellar does. XLM. They have committed to continuing research, or is it, through 2023, and have partnered with Stellar and Bit Inc. Alright. Boom. What page is this on here? This is the last thing I want to show you guys before I get off and go for a run. I am on page 16. This here I want to show you guys. This is a G20 document, or G30 document. Sorry, it's spazzing out here. There we go. Digital currencies and stablecoins. G30 document. Boom. That's how we roll. We use the heavy players, right? We don't just talk out of our buttholes. We know what we're talking about. On this channel, we know what we're talking about. We use documents. We use videos. We know how to backcheck our stuff, essentially, all right? Indirect CBDC or hybrid CBDC, they're also calling it hybrid now. Concerns associated with the size of central banks' footprints arising from the direct CBDC can be mitigated by partially insulating the central bank from general users. One version of this insulation completely different, keeping you padded and safe and out from that world itself. Think about inside your house. In the walls, behind the walls, you have insulation. It keeps the house warm from the outside. So you have a partition essentially from what happens outside to the inside, the insulation. One version of this insulation is a second tier of narrow banks, payment banks. See the India stack described in box 1. There are a number of variants. Remember, we just spoke about narrow banks. One variant would be the indirect CBDC, which technology firms or conventional banks could provide customers with synthetic CBDCs that are fully backed by segregated central bank deposits. Another would be an approach by which narrow payments banks invest customers' deposit exclusively in a central bank. What I want to show you guys too, what they're talking about here. I want to show you exactly who they're talking about here. Alright. Okay, a stablecoin backed by a basket of deposits at different central banks. It is possible that such a stablecoin could be valuable for cross-border payments, serving a function similar to that offered in the private sector by Ripple. Look at that, all right? Not my words. G30 here. A real-time gross settlement system, currency exchange and remittance network whose digital currency, XRP, leapfrogs slow, expensive correspondent banking. Shot. Everybody. Guys, I hope you guys learned something today. By guys, I don't mean your gender. I could care less about that. I hope y'all learned something today. Can't wait to see you guys on the next one. Love y'all. Peace.
Making major moves. We going all in. Like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.